Hi, today I wanted to talk about turning the cheek and how it has hurt society so much throughout the years. And I'm going to talk about it in the way of how we turn the cheek and sweep things under the carpet, don't speak up, so to speak, in the workplace environment. The workplace environment is where I have been most of my life. As a retired military spouse, I have worked several Army hospitals, several VA hospitals, and so the hospital workplace is what I often talk about most times, and how to protect oneself in a large hospital workplace environment by recognizing personalities, behaviors, and I owe this thanks for my understanding over the years is to Dr. Romney. And she wrote a New York Times bestseller book, It's Not You, which has saved my life personally and within the workplace environment. And so learning a lot of things from her has helped me so much, and with watching other people has helped me as well. And so I try to share from my personal experiences, the things that I have encountered, situations and things of that nature. And so here I'm talking about turning the cheek in a large hospital workplace environment. Okay, I'm going to continue with turning the other cheek. And in hospital workplace environments, I'm going to share from my experiences. I can't talk about nobody else, but I can read some of the suggestions that they give here, tactics to use to prevent turning the other cheek when you feel as though you may be ready to speak up, and you come up with your own creative solutions and ways to do so, and start to feel more comfortable with speaking up in workplace environments when you feel as though you see wrongdoing, or you feel as though wrongdoing and bullying is being presented to you. So instead of turning the other cheek and ignoring it, you can start to speak up. You'll see on LinkedIn, I've seen so many, there's quite a few articles on people that have committed suicide because of the workplace environment, that have become ill, those underlying diseases, stroke, heart attack, things of that nature, being bullied in the workplace, very uncomfortable in the workplace, retaliation in the workplace, even if they do try to speak up and go to the union or EEO or OIG or something like that. So just bringing about awareness and opening up the lines of communication helps in your individual area and how to do it. So the teaching of turning, it says here, turning the other cheek, has been prevalent for many years, since its introduction in early Christian doctrine. Its interpretation and application have evolved over time, influencing social movements and personal conduct throughout history. And it says why the rationale behind this teaching is rooted in promoting peace and reconciliation rather than perpetrating cycles of violence. Advocates argue that responding with kindness can disarm aggressors and foster understanding. However, critics argue that this approach can lead to passivity in the face of injustice. So to have a balance, like there's a thin line between I'm going to be nice, I'm going to ignore it, I'm going to turn the other cheek. But there comes a time when it's time to speak up, have the voice without any retaliation. So, the concept has been taught through sermons, religious education, literature, and cultural narratives. It has been reinforced by influential figures such as Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., who applied these principles in their nonviolent resistance movements. The impact on society. While the principle of turning the other cheek promotes nonviolence, it can also have detrimental effects on society. We see this from the stories we hear about in the workplace environment that are horrible, and the wrongdoings, the killings, the murders, and definitely the bullying and the retaliation of coworkers. It's pretty sad. So the detrimental effects on society is normalization of abuse. You're making that abuse normal. You turn the cheek, it's normal. That's the way they always act, right? Encouraging individuals to endure mistreatment without response can lead to a culture where abuse is tolerated. This can be hard because it depends on, that's why I am such an advocate for learning about personalities and behaviors, because it can be tricky on who you approach and how you approach when it comes to mistreatment. Like, you have to know who you're talking to, right? It all depends on their personalities and behaviors. Some people you cannot approach face to face, even when you take it higher and have all your documentation, that can still fail you. So it's no matter how clever you can be, it can still fail you. But it's so worth it to understand personalities and behavior, understand your own. I try to understand my own personality and behavior as I approach other people when dealing with mistreatment and trying to address it. The next one is suppression of justice. Victims may feel compelled to remain silent about injustices they face, undermining accountability. Remember the doctor that delivered the baby and the baby's head came off. There were other parties with them. So, we may see things that we don't say nothing about, That's an extreme case, but it did happen. I can only imagine those that was with her and didn't say anything. Mental health consequences. Constantly suppressing anger or frustration can lead to psychological issues such as anxiety or depression. So earlier I mentioned heart attack, stroke, other underlying health issues, but it can cause psych issues but also, that anxiety, depression, you want to go home, you want to get drunk, you want to get high, you want to get on the pills, you want to engage in whatever is your vice, right? And depending on your personality and behavior, it can be excessive and then cause problems with you. So if you don't address it, it can harm the individual. Like I said, I can only talk about me. I know it'll harm me if I don't say nothing about it, if I don't do nothing about it. Sometimes I don't. It depends on the situation. So, example of how this was done. In workplaces where employees are encouraged to overlook bullying behavior from colleagues or superiors under their guise of maintaining harmony. In communities where victims of domestic violence are advised to forgive their abusers instead of seeking help or justice. You know, domestic violence is huge. I've been involved in that before plenty of times. And you just turn the other cheek, and either you fight back or you be quiet and turn the other cheek. You know, it's just one of those things. Until it's time to learn how to communicate and come to an understanding. You know, promote assertive training. So some possible solutions they have here is promote assertive training, educating individuals on how to express their feelings and set boundaries without resorting to aggression. This also goes with that thing of setting boundaries and taking care of yourself before work and after work, participating in self-care. Those walks, cooking, meditating, whatever is your source. Nobody else can tell you what to do for you, but whatever gets you into that calm, peaceful, feel-good state of mind. The next one would be encourage reporting mechanisms. Always document, whether you use it or not. Whether or you always have a file somewhere. Establish clear protocols for reporting abuse or harassment in workplaces. Foster open dialogue. Create environments where discussions about conflict resolution are encouraged and facilitated. This is beautiful when you can do this in the workplace. Sometimes you're going to get backlash. Sometimes you're going to have those very difficult people that will pull you away from trying to create that environment of harmony and trying to deal with conflict resolution. Some people, the difficult people, just don't like that. That's who they are. Can't change them, right? But there's ways around that too. The more you are consistent and that's something you want to do, you'll see how other people get on board with you and start doing that conflict resolution too, when they feel as though they're not alone with it. And you come together, and the strength is in numbers for real when you're dealing with stuff like this. Preventative measures in large hospital workplace environment. Implement anti-bullying policies. Most organizations do have that. You have your training for that, but it still happens. It happens big time. Big time. No matter how much training you get on it, or how much mandatory training is on it, it still happens. Where they clearly define unacceptable behaviors and outline consequences for violations. You even get emails about this stuff too, but it happens. We just turn the other cheek, act like it don't happen unless we're involved in something serious and it goes higher. And we take it higher, take our documents, Training programs for staff. Conduct workshops on conflict resolution that emphasize assertiveness rather than being passive. Support systems for employees. Establish counseling services where staff can discuss grievances confidentially without fear of retribution. This is hard. This here lines with knowing. I have to know my personality and my behavior before I would open up to somebody about a grievance without fear of
retaliation. I have to know who they are. I have to feel it. I have to know them. I know their behaviors and their personalities, and know what's going to come out of it, whether it's going to harm me or help all parties involved. So in the end, by addressing these issues, and this is, I said this already, but I'm going to go ahead and end it with this again. Addressing them within the hospital setting, organizations can create a healthier workplace environment that discourages harmful behaviors while promoting respect and accountability among staff members. It's hard, but it's beautiful when it's done. It's beautiful when you're consistent at it and you're determined and determined to get it done and find your like-minded people for real. The strength is in numbers, okay? All right, peace.